and friends, happy spring. Thank you so much for being here. This is my first ever video on YouTube and I'm really looking forward to exploring a new platform and one that has in its nature just more space for content that is more resourceful, more substantial. So thank you for being here. Natural for me to start where I am, and I thought it would be fun to give you a tour of our tiny house and share a little bit of how we got here into this tiny house, and in that, naturally, the story of me and Zach falling in love. So I hope you enjoy watching as much as I enjoyed filming and reminiscing on the journey that it has been to get here. And it is a pleasure to welcome you into my home, welcome you into more personal aspects of my life as I begin this journey on this platform. So, coming into the tiny house. So this is our front door, which I need to clean. But this is like one half of the tiny house. This is our kitchen area here. This is where we hang up all our pots. We have this little altar for all of our spices. We love to cook a lot. We've got our plant babies, this big old fiddle fig, little plant corner. This is like the main area that we do everything in. So this is where me and Zach share our meals. This is where we do morning practices. It's really nice in the afternoon, all the sun that shines in here. We've got some drying tobacco and marigolds and oranges. This is a tobacco plant. Some of the last seeds that we have from some really special tobacco that we got gifted in Mexico. This is our little closet. It's a little messy, but most closets are. And yes, me and Zach share this closet. So this is Zach's side, very like, practical. And then my side, very colorful and a little messy. This is our medicine corner. Not gonna zoom in on that, but have this beautiful painting from our dear friend Vericoa Art. You should go check her out. So next to our closet is our little bathroom area. It's a little messy right now, but it's got a shower head in here, these metal walls. Again, we have this nice little view of the mountains here, and it's perfect for us. Back it up a little. It's quite small. There's not that much space in here, but it does the trick. This is one of my favorite corners of the house. This is our shared altar space, and this is where we structure our water. And this is also our little apothecary and our tea storage area. So we've got some medicines still in the making here. All of our bulk herbs and dye plants, some black knight scabiosa, indigo, and this is our loose leaf, kind of messy area. But I really love this little area. So this is our kitchen. So now I'm standing on the hangout area, and we're looking this way in our house, and we've got some bulk storage. Usually we have like more fruits and veggies here, but we're just landing home from some travel. This is our view. You can see the garden in the summer. I've got a screen on, so it's a little hard to see, but it's really nice to overlook the valley when you're doing the dishes and such. So we have this cute little staircase that leads up to our bed. So I'll take you up here with us. This is our bed area. This is Zach's side. This is my side. Has some natural mess. It's a loft area. It has a really nice window and we can see out. Have these beautiful ponderosa pines. You can see we still have a lot of snow here. We share a full-size bed, so it's maybe smaller than most people are used to for having a bed to themselves, but living in a tiny house, you don't have like a ton of space for a lot of excess, and we find that this is enough for us at this point. So this is the front of our tiny house, and we have this little walkway. This used to be a greenhouse area that collapsed a few winters ago. But attached to our tiny house is this little sunroom. We have 2 fridges in here. This one is mostly our seed storage area. We're planning on getting rid of this one this year. And this one is our primary fridge. And then this is all the chaos and mess right now. But this storage area rack is usually for some of our bulk foods. I have some of my natural dyeing stuff and some of our bigger appliances, reusable bags. And we're in a spring cleaning process, so this is some donation bins, all the baskets. This is one of our bookshelves. Yeah, it's nice to have this little extra space. We're planning on making this much more comfy this year. One miraculous thing is that we have fresh spring water from our tap flowing here. Coming out of our sunroom, we have this beautiful deck that we built when we moved in here. This is a space where we do a lot of our movement. We put a bathtub on here, which is so nice. It takes quite a while for it to fill up, but you can just see the beauty of where we're at, and it's just amazing. Living in a tiny house with a partner can be provocative in a lot of ways, and it can feel really crampy and not like having enough space to do your self-care practices, to exercise, or even just having your own space at times. And so having this outdoor deck space is such a boon for me and Zach. Just being in a quiet space outside that isn't, both of us inside the tiny house. So this extra deck space was one of the first things that we built in the first year, and it has been a really significant blessing for our relationship and for, just minimizing our stuff and living in a more simple way. So this is one of our outdoor spaces. This is a garden bed. We've got garden beds that line this little outdoor space. I've got my pole set up out here for movement and play. You can see we have a ton of snowpack. Zach built this for us this past year, and it's a simple compost toilet. We use wood chips here, and there's no water. We're not dirtyfying any water here. We compost our waste out here in the land, and yeah. This is our other big garden space up here. You can see the beds. They're kind of pronounced. Starting to see some little green sprouts come up, but really nice soil here. And we even have some We have some carrots left over from last year. Still good in the ground after the winter. And this space will be very much transformed throughout the year. Get a lot of sun here, and we still have some cleaning up to do, but keeping it real. Here's our tiny house from the side. This is normally our driveway area, but we're not able to drive during this time of year up to our house, so you can see our little footprints. Sorry for my dirty hands. You can see our footprints, but we have to walk all the way down this hill, and like around there we park our car. So that means for groceries or anything that we have to move to and from the house all winter long, we're transporting it back and forth, which can be really annoying and not convenient, and sometimes just really irritating and annoying. So yeah, thanks for looking at our tiny house with us. I decided to stop and make some lunch. I heated up some of the roasted veggies that I made earlier, and I'm serving them with rice and some fresh greens with one of my favorite cottage cheese, dill, lemon garlic dressings. You can see how yummy it looks. And just drinking in a quiet, sunshine-filled lunch date to myself. So sweet. So nice to eat in quietude. And for dessert, I had some chia pudding. So yum. And now it's time for a love story. Me and Zach have been together for 4 years, and they have been some of the most life-giving, transformational, grounding, challenging, and beautiful years of my whole life. And I really feel like this tiny house holds a lot of the story of our love, and to me that's why I'm sharing this video as an interlaced thing, because showing you around the tiny house, I'm filled with the memories and the storyline of what it has been to fall in love with Zach, and for us to end up here of all places, I feel very connected. So 4 years ago, me and Zach both started working as farm hands just down the road from where we live now at a beautiful regenerative no-till vegetable farm. And I had recently just gotten home from India and was in this very transitory, open state in my life, and a really dear friend who runs the farm invited me to be a farmhand, and I said yes with no real idea what that was going to look like, and just some kind of drawing inspiration to work with him and the land in a new way. It was exciting and inspiring to me. And that same season, Zach was running a sourdough pizzeria in town that wasn't doing that well, and he wanted to work out on the farm as well, in addition to his other work. And so he also worked and came on as a farm hand. And we spent a season together as friends, learning about growing food and just sharing so many beautiful moments on the farm, like with everybody who was working there, you know, being outside all day, being actively in participation with growing food for our community. It's just purpose-filled work that moves your body, and you're under the sun and you're with the elements, and it's just such an expansive and hard line of work. And our whole crew was really connected and close that year. And I had known Zach a little bit beforehand, and he was getting out of like a really long-term relationship, and I wasn't really looking for a relationship at all, but we just kind of had this natural depth of connection with one another. And so many times throughout the farm days, you know, whether we're packaging mixed greens or weeding the beds or harvesting scallions, there was always a lot of story sharing happening and just such beautiful dialogue. Like, from a like heart and mind perspective, we were like connecting in a really deep way almost every single day. And same with other people on the crew too, but there was this natural magnetism that I was feeling towards him. And at that time, Zach was renting out this tiny house. It was just a place that farm hands could rent out. And he was living here by himself part-time, and slowly our romance started to deepen, and I started to feel like, okay, maybe he's interested in me in a romantic sense. It took me like 4 months to figure out that he was interested in me actually the whole time, because just of the depth of our connection, and it wasn't very like primal and desire based, but it was this very like higher way of relating. And we started spending our days off together and going up to the lake, and I would come into this tiny house after work from the farm, and we'd have all of our farm vegetables, and we would make beautiful food in here. And it was still very like just a really deep friendship and very platonic, and we would eat food and pray, and I would give him foot massages and he would massage my feet. And at that time we were smoking tobacco a lot and we would sit out under the sky and smoke tobacco, and just had so many beautiful moments in this tiny house. And by the end of the summer, we were fully blooming into love and kind of became committed with each other. Never in a way of like, you're my boyfriend or girlfriend, but it was just this natural kind of unspoken like commitment to one another. There was so much communication happening also, so it wasn't fully unspoken, but it wasn't like, do you want to be my girlfriend? It was like, what is happening here? And kind of exploring how we felt for each other. After that first year of falling in love, we came back to the farm for another year to be farm hands and work again. At this point, I was living in my van on the land, and somebody else was renting out the tiny house. So Zach was living with his mom. I've never lived with a partner or boyfriend or girlfriend before, and so I was not in a rush at all to move in with him. That wasn't even really in my field in that second year. He would stay over sometimes in the van on the land, and then we took a trip after that second year, and we went to Mexico for a few months together for the second time, and just had such a beautiful and nourishing time with one another. And we kind of came to this shared agreement, like, okay, we want to move in with each other. It was like just both clear from, me living in my van, him up with his family, and some things going on with my family that were just kind of like pushing this as like the natural path forward. And it was also something that we both felt really excited about, and I've never felt that before. And so it has been really beautiful and was really beautiful in the inception of that. And so we started house searching, and we were dreaming of a place that we could garden and that, was a cute house for us to live in. And our first thought was the tiny house, but there was somebody still renting it, and it wasn't going to be available like in the near future at all. And so for about 6 to 7 months we were searching for houses, and weren't really finding anything that was what we were looking for. And a lot of them were just really expensive and in the heart of the city. And yeah, we were just like in this really uncomfortable stage with like having a lot of family conflict that was outside of us. And after about 6 or 7 months of looking, the people who built this tiny house decided that they want to sell it instead of just renting it out. A friend of ours told us that, and we were like, well, I'm sure like the person who's renting it at the time is going to buy it, like it's not even an option. And then we got word that they did not want to buy it. And we had vetted out so many other options at this point that was like, we already had let go of that like in the beginning. And then it became an option again because that person didn't want to buy it, and we were like, are we gonna buy this thing? And it took a few weeks of ruminating on it and like feeling into it, and then we were both like, this is where we've wanted to be all along. And about 2 years ago we just said yes, and we bought this tiny house. It feels like, just such a full circle moment from those first days coming here and sharing dinner after the farm, and now living together and building a life and sharing so much, and all that has been held in these walls. Like, this tiny house, even though it's small, it feels so big with love, and it feels just drenched and saturated in feelings of safety and aliveness and nourishment. And I think there is places for all of us that holds a lot of story and emotion and memory, and places that evoke nostalgia for us and like remind us of certain chapters and phases. And for me, when I'm in this tiny house, I feel the bigness and the beauty of falling in love with Zach and all that we get to share. So thank you so much for getting a peek into our life and seeing our tiny house and giving me an excuse to clean it up really nicely to show you, and for listening to how we came to be here. This is, again, my first ever YouTube video. I hope to be making a lot of content and educational videos and artistic videos here. I wear many hats, and I'm excited to have a platform to just share more of my life and me and be more of a resource on this space. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening and being here, and I'll be seeing you.